45 years searching in the shadows for the unknown. One team, one passion. These are our chronicles. We've seen things that nightmares are made of. Do you believe in ghosts? The following footage you are about to see is raw, unscripted footage of a paranormal investigation of an alleged haunted location by the Southern Indiana ghost hunters. Any evidence, if any, that is found within this footage is the interpretation of the Southern Indiana ghost hunters, but may not be the only explainable reason for such evidence. It's up to the viewer to decide. In the study of the paranormal, it is notably to say that there are many different types of hauntings. Some of them that have to do with actual paranormal activity, and some of them that are natural resources. We're going to go through all the different types of hauntings with some excerpts of some of the things that we have came across during our years. To begin our journey, let's talk about the two different types of hauntings that actually have to do with the paranormal side of a haunting. And that is an intelligent haunting, which would be called spirits. And then there's a residual haunting, which would be called ghost. Ghost is not a spirit type of a haunting. Ghost is something that simply replays itself over and over again, whether anybody be present or not. And we're going to show you an example of residual hauntings that actually happened to us, and also going to show you of an intelligent haunting that happened to us. In an intelligent haunting, I cannot emphasize this enough. There is no spirits of dead human beings that remain here on the earthly plane. When a person dies, the Bible says, and Jesus Christ says, that a person goes to judgment, and they either go to heaven or hell. They do not remain here on the earth. Most spirits that are experienced during an intelligent haunting are usually unclean spirits, also known as demons. However, there has been people that have had angelic meetings with angels during haunted locations also. An unclean spirit will always try to trick you into believing that it is a spirit of a deceased loved one or somebody that supposedly died in this house or this location. But if it is an intelligent haunting, it's most usually an unclean spirit tricking you. Let's first talk about the concept of the residual haunting, or the stone tape theory. The stone tape theory is the speculation that ghosts and hauntings are analogous to tape recordings, and that mental impressions during emotional or traumatic events can be projected in the form of energy, recorded onto rocks and other items, and replayed under certain conditions. The idea draws from inspiration and shares similarities with views of 19th century intellectualists and psychic researchers such as Charles Babbage, Eleanor Sigwick, and Edmund Gurney. This next clip is an excerpt from Thornhaven Manor on one of our first investigations there. This could be considered a residual haunting because it's not really interacting with the group. It happens, in fact, when we're not even in the room. Take a look and see what you think.
While SIGH was downstairs reviewing some of the video coverage that we were capturing on our DVR system, we noticed that upstairs in the servants' quarters seemed to have captured what we thought might have been a full-body apparition walking across the screen. You'll notice the video starts out that you'll see what appears to be a small orb of light come through the doorway, and it goes up in the air slightly, then hits the floor. As soon as it hits the floor, there seems to be an apparition walking across at this time.
Although the last clip you've just seen can be considered to be a residual haunting, it should be noted that Thornhaven Manor is very haunted with both residual and intelligent hauntings. In this next clip is our experience with an intelligent haunting. This happened at the Wilkinson household many, many years ago, in which the spirit actually interacts with us.
Can you give us a sign that you are here? Make a noise for us, make a tap, move something.
Again, I ask you, is there something that you would like to show us? Y'all hearing that? I'm hearing something in the background.
Is there something you'd like to tell us? there something you want us to tell someone for you?
What? What?
Did you hear that?
I heard
It's
something.
right there behind me.
It was like
right
rumbling.
behind me.
It was rumbling.
Yeah, it was right there.
I thought that was your stomach.
No, it was not my stomach. It was right behind me.
Something that's moved.
What? What?
Did you hear that?
I heard something.
It's right there behind me.
It was like
right
rumbling.
behind me.
It was rumbling.
Yeah, it was right there.
I thought that was your stomach.
No, it was not my stomach. It was right behind me.
Something that's moved.
Okay, actually we had went up into the bedroom to do an EVP session, and once we got up there, we was in there about 15 minutes or so, and we had a sound actually behind my right shoulder that sounded like a growl at first, and it just really startled me, and as you can see in the tape, what I'd done, the reaction of getting up and jumping up basically, got really startled on it. After that, we just kind of looked around to see where it had actually came from, and from there, we just went on with our investigation.
It is imperative in the paranormal field of investigation to look for other resources that may be causing said haunting, other than ghosts or spirits. Electromagnetic fields, otherwise known as EMF, is a common phenomenon here on Earth. It's natural to nature. Usually happens strongly at volcanic locations and ley lines of the Earth. However, it can also be produced man-made, such as in power lines, machinery, etc. For the most part, electromagnetic fields are harmless unless they become so strong that they start affecting you physically. And when they get that strong, sometimes they can make you hallucinate things, and they can even get strong enough to cause cancerous conditions. It has long time been believed that spirits and ghosts can create EMF fluctuations. However, this has never been scientifically proven, as spirits and ghosts have not been scientifically proven. So, it's safer to go on looking for other sources which may be causing the EMF fluctuation. In the past, SIGH has ran across several cases where the actual haunting turned out to be EMF, whether it be natural or whether it be man-made. These are hard to identify at times, and sometimes nearly impossible, as in a clip that I'm getting ready to show you from our last case called the EMF cage. Try that dart machine.
Drop down to 0.3,
0.3.
0.4, 0.6, 0.9, 1.1, 1.2, back to 1.1. 1.2 is just jumping.
Is there anybody walking around us?
2.1, 2.5, 2.6.
Is that you that's raising that?
2.5. 0.9.
If you-
1.3.
If you're intelligent, can you take it up to 3.8?
It's holding at 0.3.
This might just be waves of EMF.
0.
Point 1.5, 0.8, 1.2, 2, 2.8, 3.4, 3.8, 4.1, 4.3,
On the old lanterns.
4. Now it's down to 1.3, 1.5, and now 2, 2.5, 3. Drop down to 0.1. 1.9, 3.9, 4, 4.1, 4.2, 3.
All right.
4.
Sometimes during our investigations, we run across a purposeful deception or a hoax. You may ask yourself, why would people want to hoax a haunting? Well, there's many reasons, money being one of the foremost, and then notoriety. People seem to think that if they can prove a place to be haunted, even though it's through deceptive means, that it will add up to them being popular and receiving money to charge people to come investigate. The following footage you are about to see is of an actual investigation we did. An owner told us this location, which was his household, was haunted, and he could prove it if we'd just come out and investigate. But he was perpetrating a hoax, and he tried to trick us into doing little antics like throwing pennies around the room when we were in the pitch black and stuff.
Yeah, that's the penny.
Don't touch that penny yet.
Where is it? That was the penny.
Yeah, but the penny dropped.
The penny was thrown in from that room.
Yeah, the penny's no longer on that cabinet.
That's the penny that was thrown.
But it came down and
It
it
pitched it.
bounced.
It pitched it in here.
No,
I can't see it with your light.
If it would
Honey,
if the penny would have come from that way, it would have bounced and went.
no, it wouldn't have. Not if it's thrown a certain way, it wouldn't have.
What do you think about taking her in that room with us?
Yeah, I think we should.
But do you know what
I want to
this?
get this. Is it recording right now?
Yeah.
I want
Video
to do a
thing.
reference here.
You wanna find it?
Yeah. I'd just like to make a reference statement here that we just had a penny that was on top of the counter in the dining room. Supposedly it was thrown in here. We did capture the sound, I believe, on the full spectrum. And the penny is no longer on the dining room counter. It was a set-up object that Susan set up. It's no longer there, and now it is on the kitchen floor. And hopefully we can catch whatever it is that's stolen things, because it threw a rock earlier tonight. And I'm going to take this penny and I'm going to try to set it up again and see what it does. Okay.
You gotta put a penny on the Ouija board.
The thing about the penny bouncing and everything was that I was actually standing right here in the doorway. Now if it came off of there, it had to go right past me.
Exactly.
However, that penny was gone. And it could have been thrown, any slight chance it could have went right straight through here, I guess, and hit. All I know is that the penny was there. I do remember seeing the penny there.
Well, do you remember the time we
And the
sat?
penny was gone, and the penny was then on the floor after it was.
Remember we sat in the computer room and the little tin on the round table was thrown in there like it was trying to hit where you were sitting in the rocking chair, but instead it bounced off the door frame. Remember that?
Yeah.
And the penny, again, pennies were on that thing and got thrown in the computer room towards where you were sitting in the chair because you were sitting and complaining about it.
What now? When
Back in the summertime,
what?
when we were sitting in there and you were complaining about whatever, the phone had been unplugged all day or whatever.
Oh.
And I was on the
We're both
computer.
sitting in there.
Yeah,
doing
and
pennies.
the tin got thrown and bounced off the door frame, and then the pennies got thrown in there. Like it was aiming for the rocking chair where you were sitting at.
Needless to say, he was caught at his own antics by fellow investigators that was on the investigation. So just be careful of your surroundings. That's one message I'd like to get out toward you. Sometimes in the investigative world, one might find himself investigating a case with the underlying element of witchcraft. Witchcraft is the most dangerous type of investigation that you can do in the paranormal world. In these types of investigation, the perpetrators of the haunting itself will often present themselves as being the victims of the haunting, and that they are very, very frightened of the things that are going on around them. However, usually during the midst of the haunting, their demeanor will change, and they will actually reverse it to where they're very excited about what's going on with the haunting, and that they will claim that the investigators themselves are the victims of the haunting. Watch out for these types of hauntings, because the outcomes of such investigations is never good, and sometimes there's deadly intent involved with these type of hauntings. SIGH has been on several of these types of hauntings in the past. The outcome was never good, and we never followed up on them. They are very, very dangerous, so keep a mindful eye on what your surroundings are and the people around you at the time when you suspect that witchcraft may be involved behind these types of hauntings. I won't go into detail about our experiences with these sort of hauntings, because there's a lot to be said about we've seen things that nightmares are made of, and it almost turned deadly at times. But the following excerpt is from a haunting that we suspected witchcraft was the underlying factor.
And I'm getting an anomaly detected on your left.
Did it turn green or something?
It's went away. It's popped up twice and then went right away.
Was it a stick figure or?
No, it just came up, said detected. Oh, we got some. Got a stick figure on the wall. It's not moving. It's way up high on the wall.
Way up high on the wall?
Oh, we got some. Got a stick figure on the wall. It's not moving. It's way up high on the wall.
Way up high on the wall?
No, it just disappeared.
I'm gonna turn around and look at it. What's going on in here? You tried to whisper to me earlier. I'm listening.
Would you please come out and show yourself? We know you're here. Mike's seen you and heard you, and I felt you. We know you're right in here with us. There's no need to hide.
Anybody? Did you hear that?
What the hell it was, but
I'd like to state that we're here in Knox and just heard a whisper.
Infrasound, sometimes referred to as low status sound, describes sound waves with a frequency below the lower limit of human audibility, generally 20 Hz. Hearing becomes gradually less sensitive as frequency decreases, so for humans to perceive infrasound, the sound pressure must be sufficiently high. The ear is the primary organ for sensing low sound, but at higher intensities, it is possible to feel infrasound vibrations in various parts of the body. Psychologist Richard Wiseman of the University of Hertfordshire suggests that odd sensations that people attribute to ghosts may be caused by infrasonic vibrations. Vic Tandy, experimental officer and part-time lecturer in the School of International Studies and Law at Coventry University, along with Dr. Tony Lawrence, University's Psychology Department, wrote in 1998 a paper called Ghost in the Machine for the Journal of the Society for Psychical Research. Their research suggested that an infrasonic signal of 19 Hz might be responsible for some ghost sightings. Tandy was working late one night alone in a supposedly haunted laboratory at Warwick when he felt very anxious and could detect a gray blob out of the corner of his eye. When Tandy turned to look at the gray blob, there was nothing. The following day, Tandy was working on his fencing foil with the handle held in a vise. Although there was nothing touching it, the blade started to vibrate wildly. Further investigation led Tandy to discover that the extractor fan in the lab was emitting a frequency of 18.98 Hz, very close to the resonant frequency of the eye given as 18 Hz by NASA. This, Tandy conjectured, was why he had seen a ghostly figure. It was, he believed, an optical illusion caused by his eyeballs resonating to the room was exactly half a wavelength in length, and the desk was in the center, thus causing a standing wave which caused the vibration of the foil. Tandy investigated this phenomenon further and wrote a paper entitled The Ghost in the Machine. He carried out a number of investigations at various sites believed to be haunted, including the basement of the Tourist Information Bureau next to Coventry Cathedral and Edinburgh Castle. Let's talk about two natural types of hauntings that could be present on any of your investigations, but these are very important factors to check before you actually do your investigation. You see, there's a common thing that happens in houses every now and then, and that is CO. CO in the air, carbon monoxide, is a tasteless, odorless, and colorless gas. You don't even know it's present unless you have a CO detector. And if exposed to this for long periods of time, it can cause people to hallucinate and cause parts of their body to start feeling oppressed or feel pressure, chest pains, headaches, etc. But it can also ultimately lead to death. So it's important as investigators, if people call us in for help, we should be searching for such things as CO poisoning in a location before we even begin to believe that a location is haunted. You could be saving somebody's life. Along with this could also be lead poisoning. If a house was built prior to 1970, chances are it may have lead pipes. The way to check for lead pipes is to look under the sink or look into the toilet inflow and see if you see a gray, crusty looking pipe. If you use a scrape that pipe and it turns out to be bright silver, chances are it's a lead pipe. And these should be replaced.
over an amount of time, drinking water that contains lead in it can build up in the system and cause about the same issues as CO poisoning. It's a very deadly issue in the end. You can also check and see if a house was painted prior to 1977. Lead paint was ruled out, was outlawed in 1977. Chances are if a house is newer than that, you won't run into these issues. But as investigators, it's also our duty to make sure that the clientele is safe, first and foremost, to make sure that they don't have something deadly lurking in their house. Hi, this is Mike L. Flickner with the Southern Indiana Ghost Hunters. I'd like to thank you for viewing this video with us this evening. And I'd like to tell you that SIGH has retired from active investigation. Doesn't mean that we're going anywhere. It means that we're still doing our studies and we're still around if people need help. It's just that we will no longer be going out and doing active investigations ourselves. And it's been one heck of a ride. 48 years for me alone. Then I'd like to thank each and every one of you for following us throughout the years and for your support. This does bring a close to the Southern Indiana Ghost Hunter Chronicles, the series. However, we do have a new series that we are working on, and we're hoping that you all will be excited about that. It's called SIGH Legends, and it's going to include stories of haunted locations, some of them that you've never even heard of before. We'll be giving you the facts as we know them of these locations, be doing interviews with certain individuals, and it'll be up to you to decide, is this fact or is this just a legend? Until then, thanks once again, and we'll see you around.